Your lung capacity is a direct indicator of your overall health. And it's a major component to priming the system for greater expansion and connection to your own personal enlightenment. Hi, my name's Kevin. I'm a transformation guide and quantum consciousness coach. I help demystify the mystical, make the spiritual practical, and break down the barriers to personal enlightenment. So the quality of your breath and your overall lung capacity are indicators of not only holistic health, physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional health. It's also an amazing vehicle we can use to really ground into the present moment, get out of a stress or anxiety response, pull ourselves out of a depressive state or ruminating state, and come back to right now. And the challenge is we were never taught to breathe. We knew how originally. If you look at a toddler breathing or a baby, big, full, expansive belly breaths. But as we get older, we accumulate experiences that can be interpreted as trauma by the subconscious. So the more weight we carry, the more energy we absorb and we don't release it, the more stress our system is under, the more likely we're going to be into a limbic system stress response, and the more shallowly we're going to breathe because we're in that stress response. So we can use the breath to disrupt a stress response. We can use the breath to clear the clouds, clear the mental clutter. We can use the breath to disrupt a negative thought pattern. We can use the breath to disrupt a reaction. So today we're going to look at 3 steps on how to return to our natural, normal way of breathing, really relaxed, expansive belly breaths, so we can get back to that personal enlightenment, that peaceful presence that's always been there waiting for you. Okay, so step number 1, we actually need to learn how to breathe. Now, because most of us are carrying so much stress with us most times, we breathe into the upper lungs and we breathe up into the sinuses. We're never going to get a full breath with that type of breathing. So we actually need to become more conscious and mindful of how we are taking breath into the lungs. So the first step is, instead of breathing into the sinuses, we need to practice breathing into the back of the throat. So instead of it sounding like, it's going to sound like almost like Darth Vader or like a mummy. Now, the next component is relaxing the abdomen completely. Because if we're tight in the abdomen, our diaphragm's not going to have very much room to move, and those lower lobes of the lungs, they're not going to be receiving the oxygen. So when we breathe into the throat with a nice relaxed abdomen, it allows us to perceptively fill up our lungs from the lower lobes all the way to the top of the lungs. Not only are we creating a healthier environment for our lungs, we're increasing the oxygen that our system can take in, we're also settling back into more peaceful presence. So breathe to the back of the throat. And maybe you just start there. Maybe start focusing on that breathing into the back of the throat. And then when that becomes more normal for you, it's not as much of a focus. It comes a little easier. Then add the relaxed belly. And when you put them together, you're able to increase your lung capacity almost immediately. Just those 2 practices. So once we learn how to breathe more diaphragmatically, more belly breathing, now it's time to practice. And there are a ton of ways to practice diaphragmatic belly breathing. There's box breathing. Start with a 4 count on your inhale. 4 count hold. 4 count exhale. 4 count hold. So that's box breathing. There's breath of fire and lion's breath from yogic traditions. There's something called a ladder breath. Wim Hof method is its own type of diaphragmatic holotropic breathing. And I'm going to show you one today that I use often in my own life and with clients that really help to disrupt any latent limbic system stress response and really bring us right back to the present moment. And I call this a bellows breath. So we're going to combine breathing with a whole brain exercise, and we are going to supercharge this breathwork practice that we can use to expand our lung capacity, bring ourselves back into the present moment, disrupt any stress response, stop worrying about the future, stop ruminating on the past, be more present and functional in the moment. So go ahead and cross your right ankle over your left and your right wrist on top of your left. Relax that abdomen. Now this is going to be inhaling and exhaling through the mouth. So we are intentionally creating a hypotropic state within the system. You're going to get a little loosey-goosey in the head. You may get a warm flush or a chill. You may get a little bit of a halo around your vision. You may even get tingles in the extremities. It's all normal. So this breath, nice relaxed abdomen on the inhale, getting as much oxygen as we can in. And on the exhale, we're going to give our abdomen a little squeeze like we're trying to blow a candle out on the opposite side of the room. So when we put those breaths together, we get a rhythmic, diaphragmatic, holotropic breath. We're only going to do 20 breaths. And if you're following along, you are going to feel a distinct difference between how you're feeling in this moment and how you're feeling in 20 breaths. So let's get into it. Relaxed abdomen, right ankle, right wrist crossed over your left, and begin. Switch just the crossing of your wrist. 5 more. Switch just the crossing of your ankles. 5 more. Last 5, switch back to the original crossing of the wrists. We're in the home stretch. Hit it hard. One more. All the way out. When you get to the bottom of the breath, take recovery breaths. It could include a yawn. Maybe there's a stretch or a twist for you. An area where you feel a little bit of tightness. And just settle back into a nice, normal breath range. Relaxed abdomen, relaxed belly breathing. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose as you let your breath settle back to normal. So that's step 2, practice. If we're not practicing, we're not increasing our lung capacity. If we're not practicing, we're not finding the edge of our comfort zone with our breath. And if we're not practicing, we're leaving a lot of chips on the table of life. We're carrying around stress and judgment and comparison, being self-critical and abusing ourselves, thinking we're not good enough, thinking we can't do it, thinking we're not worthy. If we can disrupt those stress responses that come up from the inside with breath, we're going to return to that naturally balanced place of peaceful presence and non-attachment more regularly. Now, let's say you're practicing breathwork and you're still having challenges. You're stressed, you're not doing what you love, maybe you're stuck in unfulfilling relationships, you're feeling responsible for other people's emotions, you're being overly critical of yourself or others. That's when we get to our 3rd step and we look at transforming stress, trauma, faulty beliefs, negative past experiences, and even emotions at the subconscious and cellular level in order to lighten that load. So we're not looking for stress as much. We're finding that eye of the storm in the intensity of life, and that's really where the magic happens. So in order to prime the system for greater expansion, our breath needs to be part of it. And one of the biggest accelerators that I've experienced in my own is getting to that subconscious level, releasing and reducing stress in guided transformation processes. So I'm not carrying the weight of the past and those mountains that we feel like they're just unscalable. We just turn them into little anthills and we're able to step easily over them. So if you want some more information about subconscious transformation, links are in the description below. If you want more content like this, please like, follow, and subscribe, and reach out with any challenges. It's not always easy starting new practices. So if you're looking for additional insight and tools on how to deepen your practice, you can click here for a full 9-minute disruption that's going to get you back on easy street, even in the most challenging of days. Hope that helps. Hope you have a beautiful day.